guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm back with my jeans bags. As you might remember from my previous video, I made this bag with the white beads and these little flowers on it, and I thought it looked awesome and wanted to make a second bag, and that's what I did. So I came up with this bag where I used buttons instead of these little white beads. What do you think about it? Which one do you prefer? I think for me, because I love colorful items, I prefer this bag. But obviously, depending on what dress you're wearing and which style you prefer, either of them looks just great. I wanted to show you today how I made this outer bag, because in my last video, I only showed you how I made the flowers and how I fixed them onto the bag, but I didn't show you in detail how I made the actual bag. And I wanted to use this video as an opportunity to catch up on that. As you can see, these two bags are very similar. The way I did the flowers and everything is exactly the same. So if you do finish watching this video and you want to know how I made the flowers and how I fixed them onto the bag, just look at the video I posted last week and you should be all set in how to make this bag from the beginning until the end. The only basic difference, as I said, is the buttons. So I'm going to show you how I made that happen, and I'm going to show you how I made this outer bag, which is what you need in order to put all the flowers on top of it. As you can see, once again, I'm left with this pair of sad looking pants. I cut off everything from the bottom, and you're going to see how I did that so there's no confusion about how the bag is made, and this is basically all I'm left with. I have no idea what to make with this remainder. Maybe I'm going to come up with something. If so, I'm going to let you know, because I have two of these leftover pieces right now from each bag. As you know, for my last bag, I used this adorable pink little pig lining, and I think it looks just great. I'm in love with it. For this bag, I wanted to use something different. I'm going to use this Alice in Wonderland lining for this new bag with buttons, and as you can see in my box over here, I have all these different buttons in different sizes and colors to choose from, and that's what I used in order to make this bag come into reality.
Of course, I couldn't help it. I just had to make a picture of the fabric. Isn't it adorable? Alice in Wonderland.
Obviously, if you don't have Alice in Wonderland fabric, no worries, you can use any fabric you like. And the great thing about it, as I already said in my other video, is that you are the only one who will see this fabric, so you have to like it. And even if it's a bit childish, no worries, because people will only see this outer case of your bag and they won't see what lining you chose inside, so it's completely up to you. Also, make sure to cut off the pockets of your pants so that you will have some inner pockets for your bag. I think that's a pretty neat idea, and that ensures that your bag has some little pockets for your phone or a handkerchief or some little things like that. As you can see, I have cut off this waist strap from the pants, and this will be the shoulder strap that I'll be using for this bag, same as I did for the other bag. So see this as a second follow-up on my previous video. If you liked the previous video, this is a perfect opportunity to find out how I made this bag come together. And once you have finished watching this video, if you haven't watched the other one and want to know how I made the flowers, do feel free to check out my previous video. I would appreciate a thumbs up if you like this video, and if you do want to see more videos of this style, please let me know in the comment section below. Without further ado, let me show you how I started with a new, old, entire pair of jeans and what I did to them in order to get this bag that I have lying right in front of me.
Let's begin with this pair of old jeans. Can't wait. First step, what you have to do is you cut off the legs. You need 35 centimeters, so just take a ruler and mark the points and then cut off both legs so that you end up with two pieces of 35 centimeter length each. I found this size of bag to be ideal for the purpose that I normally use it, just to put in some small things. If you want to have a bigger bag, you can obviously make this part a bit longer, but you have to keep in mind that the proportions of the pants do change as you go up, so you will find that if you make a longer bag, it will have a kind of weird shape because of the shape the jeans have and the wider they become as you go up. Next, you have to open up the jeans so that you end up with two pieces of fabric that you sew together back to back using your sewing machine. Make sure to cut off the edges before you do that, just so it looks nicer and is easier to do using the sewing machine. Then you go all the way around, obviously leaving the opening open so that you have a bag. And that's basically it to get the basic structure of the flower bag. If you watched closely, you should have realized that the bag isn't two-dimensional but three-dimensional. And in order to achieve that, you have to open up the bottom. You do that by marking an 8 centimeter triangle on either edge. You sew it together first, and then you cut it open. By using this technique, you have a three-dimensional bag which has a bottom to it. Before starting with the next step, make sure to take off anything that is in the way, like this tag for instance.
And now it is finally time to cut the jeans open.
What I mean by that is, as you know, we already took off the legs or part of the legs, and now it is time to take off all the remaining front pieces. You do that to the left and to the right, and you should end up with 2 pieces of jeans fabric in the end. This piece of fabric is what you'll be using to make the flowers. I won't repeat what I already explained in my previous video, but just so you know, each of the strands I cut were 48 times 5 centimeters, which I cut further into 24 times 5 centimeter straps. From my previous video, you already know how to put the flowers together, and if you haven't watched my previous video, this is the moment to do so. Once you've got your flower together, the only difference is that I didn't use white beads, I used the buttons. You can use your hot glue gun if you want, as I did for the white beads. In my case, I thought it looked quite pretty if I actually saw some yarn in the middle. For that reason, I decided to sew them on.
As I already said in my introduction, I used this Alice in Wonderland fabric for my lining. Also make sure to cut out these pockets, and once you're done with that, cut out 2 pieces of fabric that are a bit bigger than your bag and sew on these pockets in the middle so that you have a lining with 2 pockets inside.
As you can see, I was lazy. Instead of measuring it out, I took the outer bag, put it on top of the lining, and cut out the lining using a bit more fabric than the actual bag. That is a good way of doing it if you are too lazy to measure it out. If you do measure it out, make sure to add some seam allowance for when you work with the sewing machine. As I just mentioned, the next step is to take off the pockets. Take your time when you do that. It's a bit tricky at the beginning because they are really tightly put together. But once you've found the right angle to do it, it's pretty easy to get it done. Repeat the same procedure for the other side and you end up with 2 pockets that you can use for your new bag. In the next step, you're going to combine the lining with the pockets. I decided to center it. You don't have to.
Of course, that's optional. You cannot have the pockets if you don't like that or think it's too confusing. But I think it's great because it allows you to put small things inside, such as your cell phone or handkerchief or something like that. Completely up to you, but I would wholeheartedly recommend it.
Once you have found the perfect position for your pockets, make sure to sew them together using matching yarn.
Up until this point, both bags are basically the same. If you remember from last video, what I used was some Velcro tape on top. That's what it looks like. I think it's a great option, but since I'm making a second bag, I wanted to show you a different option on what to do on top, and I decided to use a zipper. If you want to make the option I have here in my hands with the Velcro tape on top, you can just continue watching the video that I posted last week and it will tell you how to do that. It's the easier option, I would say. If you would like to see how to install a zipper inside this bag, then continue watching here because I'm going to show you how to make that happen. Which one to use is completely up to you. Personally, I think I would prefer the zipper option, but if you don't have a zipper at home and you do have some Velcro or you don't even have that, no need to worry. It's still not an excuse not to make a nice bag because the main eye catch of this bag is not the zipper or the Velcro, it's definitely the flowers on top. Do check out both options that I posted and see which one makes more sense for you, and then get started upcycling your jeans.
The zipper will be installed here on top. The first thing I had to do is to open up the bag again. So I opened up the lining and I opened up the outer bag. That's because I had to make sure to install the zipper first on top. If you go for the Velcro option, you obviously don't have to open up the bag again. But if you want to install a zipper and you want it to be not as obvious, I do encourage you to not sew the bag together first, but to make sure to install the zipper first. As you can see now, the zipper is installed and it's hidden in there so it doesn't look as awful. And the bag is pretty much open. You have 4 individual layers that are connected on top by the zipper. And those 4 layers have to be connected now. Make sure to test the zipper before you continue. It would be a pity if you finished it off and realized there was a problem with the zipper. As you can see, this is the inner side where you can see all the flowers that have been sewn onto the fabric. As I said earlier, you won't see this part since we have a lining. And now the next part is to sew the jeans part together. Once you have done that, the outer bag is ready and you repeat the same process for the inner bag. Make sure that the lining has an opening because otherwise you are not able to turn it around. The opening should be right here in the middle. Once you know what to do, take your sewing machine and sew all the parts together that I just showed you, leaving the opening part as discussed. Now you might wonder, why did I sew everything together, then open it up and sew it together now again? Of course, you don't have to do that. For me, it was mainly because I started off this project thinking I was going to use the Velcro. And once I was halfway through, I remembered that I have a zipper left over in exactly the same color. And I thought it would be nice to incorporate that into the design. So I decided to make this bag with a zipper. And if you think it through, you will realize that there's no way to install the zipper in a nice way if you've already put the bag together. Hence, I took it apart once again. What you have to do is to make sure that both the inner and the outer layer have these little feet, these little edges. So you have to make sure to do the little triangle trick that I showed you before on both the inner and the outer bag. And once you've done that, you can turn around the inner lining as well as the outer lining, and it will have these nice edges. Once you're done with that, the next step is to turn the bag around, because as you remember, these are the ugly sides up. So left sides up, as most people say. I call it the ugly sides because you can't really see the fabric that nicely. And the opening was left open in order to turn it around, otherwise you aren't able to do that. Once you've turned it around, you have to close the opening by hand. Right here, this is the opening that we didn't sew together. Just use any stitch to close the bag. As you can see here, I've sewn it together and it's one entire piece. You just have to put it back inside the bag and your bag is finished. Finally, this is what it looks like. As you can see on both sides, I have this little zipper covering that I put on top of the zipper in order to make it look nicer. You can do that if you want, but you don't have to.
I hope you enjoyed watching this video. Now I have shown you how I made this bag and the other bag. So based on what design you prefer, please feel free to go in either direction or maybe find something new. Obviously, there are many more options for you to try out. If you have any more ideas of what you could sew in the middle of the flowers, please let me know in the comment section below.
Of course, I had to show you a quick comparison of both bags for you to look at. This is what they look like flat on the table. And if we zoom in a bit, you can see the individual yarn that I added to each flower for this bag on the left. And for the bag on the right, I put on the little beads using my hot glue gun, as you have seen in my other video. They're both very special bags, I think, and they look very different, although they only have this little difference. So I definitely do encourage you to try them out both.
I hope it makes much more sense now how I put the bag together. As I said before, if you need a tutorial on how to make the flowers, please check out my previous video that I posted a week ago on how to do that, and you should be all set. Now is the perfect opportunity to take that old pair of jeans you no longer wear out of your wardrobe and transform it into a wonderful summer bag with flowers on it. If you have any new ideas for what I could upcycle, recycle, or DIY in any of my upcoming videos, please do let me know. I can't wait to get some new ideas. Thanks for checking out my video today. I'm looking forward to seeing you in my next video. In the meantime, if you can't wait, just check out my previous videos I already posted. I can't wait to get a few more likes on those as well. Thanks for watching. See you soon. Bye.